What's going on, guys? Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. It's just around the corner, and with the news that Johnny Depp is playing the evil wizard Grindelwald, and that young Dumbledore is going to be part of the franchise, these new movies are starting to smell a lot more like prequels than ever before. And that got us thinking, are there any good prequels? And which ones are the worst of the worst? Join me as I count down Screen Junkies' list of the best and worst prequels of all time. Oh, and before you ask, we did not count reboots like Batman Begins, Casino Royale, New Planet of the Apes, New Star Trek. Whoa! Gotta draw the line somewhere. First on our list of the best prequels of all time, at number 5 is Fast 5. Fast 5 takes place before the Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift. You can tell because the character of Han is not burnt to a crisp like he was at the end of the third Fast movie, which is actually the 6th Fast movie. That means that Fast 4, Fast 5, and Fast 6 all count as prequels. But everyone knows Fast 5 is the standard bearer. It turned the franchise into the over-the-top heist movies that they've become. It introduced the franchise to a baby oil slathered Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and it featured Vin Diesel remembering everything about his father.
I remember everything about my father.
By the way, Fast 5's inclusion on this list is the most serious anyone has ever taken the mythos of the Fast and Furious franchise. Everybody loves Hugh Jackman, and there are a lot of people who would say this amazingly talented Aussie can do no wrong. Those people obviously haven't seen Pan, which leads off our worst prequels ever list. Although to be fair, very few people in general saw Pan. This misguided Peter Pan prequel was a mega bomb at the domestic box office and goes down as one of the biggest examples of why was this movie made in recent history. Maybe Warner Brothers was just pandering to the extremely niche Nirvana fan pirate enthusiast crowd.
When the lights out, it's as dangerous. Here we are now. Hesitate us.
I don't know what I just watched, but I hated it. Number 4 on our best list, Final Destination 5. This film makes the list because it's the rarest kind of prequel. The sneak prequel. Final Destination 5 makes its own case as one of the best movies in the franchise by featuring some of the most elaborate, well-choreographed deaths this side of Rube Goldberg. But it scores its final points by revealing at the end, spoiler alert, that the whole movie takes place before the first Final Destination movie. You know, a lot of people write the Final Destination movies off as being gimmicky, lightweight fluff, notable only for inventing creative ways to kill people, and they're right. I have no real defense for liking these movies so much. I just do. Coming in hot at number 4 on our worst list, the Hobbit movies. Now, I have been an outspoken critic of the Hobbit movies since they came out, and I make no bones about the fact that I find these films sorely disappointing. Full of filler, a lot of wandering around aimlessly, and succumbing to gold sickness.
I will not part with a single coin.
And what makes me angriest of all, a really weird elf-dwarf romance subplot that just went absolutely nowhere. Ugh. Number 3 on our best list, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Also known as the movie that scared the crap out of so many kids they had to invent a new rating, PG-13. A lot of people who haven't read the IMDb trivia section about the second Indiana Jones movie may not realize that it's set in 1935, a year before Raiders of the Lost Ark, thus making it the first Indiana Jones adventure, save for the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles TV show or whatever. And while it's often regarded as the least of the original 3 Indiana Jones movies, fans can unite over the fact that it's not Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which ripped our hearts out of our chests in a completely different way than Temple of Doom did. Kalima. Number 3, worst. You knew it was coming. The Star Wars prequels. But I'm not talking about the George Lucas trilogy featuring Jar Jar Binks, a wooden Anakin Skywalker, and sand that gets everywhere. No! We're not going to talk about those. I'm going to talk about the very first Star Wars prequels, the Ewok movies. Set between A New Hope and Return of the Jedi, 1984's Caravan of Courage, an Ewok adventure, and 1985's Ewoks, The Battle for Endor, gave us all a preview of the horrors to come.
I'm going over to that stove and getting me some more soup. Whatever you do, you stay right where you are.
These are not the prequels you're looking for. The other prequels aren't either. I hope Rogue One is good. Coming in at number 2 with a bullet on our best list, The Godfather Part 2. One of the great films of all time, one of the great sequels, and one of the great prequels. The only thing that kept this movie out of the top spot is that it's only half a prequel. In current day, we follow Al Pacino's Michael Corleone and his descent into darkness. But the heart of the film is in its flashback scenes, as we follow Robert De Niro's Vito Corleone and his ascent into becoming Marlon Brando. Fun fact, director Francis Ford Coppola mentored none other than Star Wars director George Lucas, which means we're all very lucky that there aren't Godfather special editions featuring CGI horseheads and Sonny shooting first, and then a Christmas spectacular starring the Godfather gang. I'm gonna make you an offer you can't refuse. To have a Merry Christmas. Number 2 on our worst list, X-Men Origins Wolverine. Wow, the Jackman is back, twice ending up in the crap pile on this list. And he's answering the question, how do you screw up a Wolverine origin movie? I mean, what should have been a total slam dunk, featuring a fan favorite superhero, became an absolutely unwatchable mess, featuring answers to questions that fans never asked, an opening credits scene that was better than the rest of the whole movie, laughably bad CGI adamantium claws, and character-killing cameos from Gambit and Deadpool. That's right, this movie single-handedly killed Gambit, an awesome character who's still struggling to get a movie off the ground, and it almost buried Deadpool forever, were it not for Ryan Reynolds and his off-the-charts charisma.
Think Ryan Reynolds got this far on his superior acting method?
Coming in at number 1, topping our best list, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. It's crazy to think that Sergio Leone's classic films in the Man with No Name trilogy were received with mixed critical response upon their release, but it's true. Originally criticized for their violence, Leone's spaghetti westerns found much of their acclaim in later years. Set prior to the other films in the trilogy, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly stands above all of them and is now considered one of the best movies ever made. The score from Ennio Morricone is truly iconic. The characters are unforgettable, and it currently holds a spot in IMDb's top 10 movies of all time. Quentin Tarantino even called it the greatest achievement in the history of cinema. And if Quentin Tarantino says it, you know it's true. Except for that time in 2013 when he said The Lone Ranger was one of the 10 best films of the year. Then last year, he was a really big fan of The Intern with Robert De Niro and Anne Hathaway, so that was kind of weird. You know what? I take back everything I just said about Quentin Tarantino, but yeah, Good, Bad, and Ugly is like great.
Adios.
And finally, we come to the number 1 movie on our worst list, the top of the crap pile. You know, to decide what movie should hold this vaunted honor, we asked ourselves, what movie would I rather put ice picks into my eyeballs than watch again? And the answer was unanimous. Minions. That's right. Your aunt's favorite Facebook meme is also a prequel to the Despicable Me films. And spoiler alert, it's insufferable. I don't know if it's the nonstop gibberish, the chaotic jumble of sub-cartoonish action, or the fact that this movie made over $1 billion worldwide. I resent you for that, Minions. I would watch any of the other movies on this list 8 times before I would watch Minions again once. Do you know how bad a movie has to be for me to say that I would watch X-Men Origins Wolverine 8 times? Minions fans, I'm not saying you're bad people. I'm not saying you're wrong for loving your Minions, but I am saying I don't think I can be friends with you. I apologize. Banana?
Banana!
So what'd you think of our list? Are there any good prequels that we left off where you're like, what? Why wasn't that on there? Or were there any real stinkers that we forgot about? Let us know in the comments section below. We want to know. I want to thank you for watching Screen Junkies. I'm Hal Rudnick. Hit me up on Twitter. Bye-bye. Hey guys, did you know that this end card works with your phone now? I know, right? Click the boxes below to watch more Screen Junkies videos, and click the Screen Junkies logo to subscribe and get this show, honest trailers, movie fights, and more.